So now we're moving on to use linear equations in slope-intercept form. That's Chapter 5, Lesson 2. So reminder here how to use slope. We're going to be doing this a lot, so I want to make sure everyone's clear on that. So to figure out the slope of these 2 points is 0, -2, and 1, 3. Remember, it's 3 minus -2 and 1 over 1 minus 0. 3 minus -2 is going to be 5 over 1. So the slope is just going to be 5. For this one here, the next one is going to be -2 minus 2 over 5 minus 3. So -2 minus 2 is going to be -4. And 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. So when we simplify that, it's going to be -2. So that's going to be the slope. So remember, for 5, it's 5 up, 1 over. For -2, it's going to be 2 down, 1 over. So looking at this word problem, Bill borrowed $75 from his parents. He is paying back $5 per week. Write an equation that models this situation. Okay, so he borrowed $75 and he's paying back 5. So I like to circle this information. And we're just going to write out an equation to try and figure out, I'm guessing, how long it's going to take him to pay that back. So let W equal number of weeks. And so this is just going to be, he's paying about $5 per week. So 5 times W is going to be 75. And that's it. So this problem here, write an equation of the line that passes through the point 2, 5 and has a slope of 3. Well, we've already got a good portion of the equation right there. If we're going to write in y-intercept form, it's right there. So we've got y is equal to 3 times x, because that's what the slope goes in front of the x, plus, and we're looking for this mystery number, which in this case is going to be b, because that's how we indicate y-intercept. So all we're going to do is we're going to plug in the numbers that we have here, and then we're going to solve for what b's value is. So if that's the case, well, 5 goes on this side because that's what the y is equal to. I'm just filling in 3, and then 2 is going to go here because that's where the x goes, plus b. So I'm hoping that you guys get this. So here, the 2 is the x, and the 5 is the y. And so that's why I just substituted them in there, because I can now solve for the equation. So here, this is going to be now 5 is equal to 6 plus b. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides. We're going to end up with -1 is equal to b. So our equation is going to now be y equals 3x minus 1. Plus -1 or minus 1, doesn't matter. Either way, that makes sense. So let's try another one here. Write an equation of the line that passes through the point 6, 3 and has a slope of -2. Again, right off the bat, we get half the problem solved. So now we're going to substitute in these points, and we're going to see what happens. So this is going to be, remember, 6 goes on the other side, 3 goes here, because that's the y, is equal to -2 times 6, because that's the x value, plus b. So when we deal with that, it's going to be 3 is equal to -12 plus b. We're going to add 12 to both sides to get rid of the -12, and so we end up with 15 is equal to b. When we do that, now we've got our equation. Y is equal to -2x plus 15. So that's our equation. One more down here. Write an equation of the line that passes through the point 9, 15 and has a slope of -1/3. Same idea here. Same exact thing. -1/3 x plus b. And then we just substitute in these values here and see what we end up with. So it's going to be 15 is equal to negative 1/3 times 9 plus b. And negative 1/3 times 9 is going to give us negative 3 plus b is equal to 15. And so now we're just going to go ahead and now we got negative 15 is equal to negative 3 plus b. So now we're just going to solve for that. So it's going to be, let's see here, we're going to add 3 to both sides. So add 3 to both sides. And we end up with 18 is equal to b. Now we've got our equation. Y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 18. And we're all good. So moving on here, write an equation of the line that passes through 3, 9, and negative 2, negative 1. Here, there's just the additional step. What we've got to do is we've got to figure out the slope. How do we figure out the slope? Negative 1 minus 9 over negative 2 minus 3. Just the slope formula. So this is going to be negative 10, negative 5. So the slope is going to be positive 2. So now we've got our part of our equation here. Now we take either of those 2 points, whichever one is easier for us. So I'm just going to choose the first one, and so it's going to now substitute in these values here into this equation. So y's value is 9 is equal to 2 times 3 plus b. So it's going to be 9 is equal to 6 plus b. And you can probably do that in your head. It's just subtract 6 from both sides, so b is equal to 3. And then we've got our equation. Y is equal to 2x plus 3. There we go. Quickly, this next one here, same idea here. 0 minus negative 4. Actually, let's do it the other way. Let's use the more traditional way. We're going to use the second point. It doesn't really matter, but negative 4 minus 0 over 2 minus 3. Negative 4 over negative 1. So the slope is just going to be 4. So now we got first part of our equation done. Now we're just looking for b. So I substitute in any value here. I'm going to choose the easy one because it's got 0 in there. And actually, well, got our y-intercept, or we should have our y-intercept really quickly here. So it's just y, because we've got our x-intercept here. Or we got our y-intercept right there. So this should be very easy. So, and I should recognize that right off the bat. So when I do that, let me fix that one little part there. So I forgot I was substituting in this. So it's going to be 3. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake. Let's fix that. See, even I make mistakes sometimes. So 4x plus b. It's going to be now we substitute in 0. Because this is the x-intercept, not the y-intercept. That's going to be 3 plus b. So now we got 4 times 3, that's 12. So 0 is equal to 12 plus b. So b is going to be equal to negative 12. And so our equation is going to be y is equal to 4x minus 12. Write an equation, pass through those lines. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do these quickly, and I'm going to put the answer on the board in just a minute. So that's what that first problem is, the one that's right here. That's the one that I just did there, and hopefully you did this problem separately yourself, and you came up with the same answer, which is right here. Y is equal to 4x plus 17. Now I want you to try and do this last one, and then I'm going to come up and put the answer up in the board in just a second as well. So this one was a little bit more complex, but hopefully this makes sense. Again, what I did in this portion here was I just figured out the slope here. So that's the slope, and then I just went ahead and substituted once I figured out that the slope was 1/2. I then substituted in the values here for y and here for x for this one point. Should have come up with the same thing if I did with this point as well. You can always check your answers that way. And then I moved on from there. Remember, for linear functions, we can just substitute in y and x for this sort of notation here. So let's just do that. We're going to change these points. So this is going to be point 2, 3. This is going to be point -3, 8. When we do that, it's the exact same type of problem before. And so it's just going to be 8 minus 3 divided by -3 minus 2. That's going to be 5 over -5. So that's going to be -1. That's going to be my slope. Then I'm just substituting that in. -1, if you want, you can write that there if that helps you. Again, I like to put it in parentheses. I'll fix that one thing there. So it's -1 x plus b. So now I'm just looking for the value b when I substitute in one of these points. So then I substitute in, well, 3 for the y is equal to -1 times 2. So I'm just substituting in that point plus b. So this is going to be so it's 3 is equal to -2 plus b. And then b is going to be equal to 5. So the equation is going to be y is equal to, if you wanted to, you're going to be -1 x plus 5. Or, well, in function notation, f of x is equal to -1. Rewrite that again. -1 x plus 5. So that's the same thing. For these two problems, I'm just going to rewrite them out the way I did before just to see if you guys got them. You should give them both a try right now. Okay, so hopefully you got these answers down. Again, what I used in these ones here to indicate, in particular, the whole thing with the making it clear that what I'm substituting with the different colors. So very clearly here, when I'm just substituting the values, I think I know I have the equation right here, but then I put the 2 here where the x goes, and the -4 here where the y goes. And same thing here. Once I have this equation written down, and either way it's written is okay on there. Just I prefer to have the coefficient of -1 in front. So here the x value, here the y value, and that's how it works. So now we're up to some word problems. A carnival charges $2.50 per ride after an entrance fee. You paid a total of $22.50 after 6 rides. Write an equation that gives the total cost as a function of the number of rides. Find the total cost for 15 rides. Okay, so first off, let's define our variable. Let's say what are we trying to figure out? Well, first of all, we got this here. Oh my, let's move that back over. So first of all, we got some information here that we need to know. We should always read the word problem a couple of times at least. Okay, so first off, a carnival charges $2.50 per ride after an entrance fee. You paid a total of $22.50 after 6 rides. Write the equation that gives you the total cost as a function of the number of rides. So we're looking for the total cost. C equals total cost. Okay. So how is that related? Well, C is the total cost. So we have N equals the number of rides, because depending on how many rides you go on, the cost is going to go up or down. So we're going to look and see how these two things relate now. So I know it's $2.50 per N. So if I go on 4 rides, it's going to be $10. And then it says here you paid a total of $20.50 after 6 rides. Okay, so what I can start doing now is I can start plugging in numbers here. And I'm looking for the cost, but I don't know what this last variable is. And this last variable is going to be the actual, the entrance fee. So I'm just going to label that. I'm going to label it as B just because I'm a traditionalist in terms of y-intercept. The entrance fee. Fee. Okay. So there we go. So now we have our information here. $22.50 after 6 rides. So it's $22.50. And now I just start plugging in the numbers. N, the number of rides, is going to be 6 plus B. So now I've got here, it's going to be $22.50 is equal to, well, that's going to be $15 plus B. So I subtract 15 on both sides, and I get that $7.50 is equal to B. So now I've got my equation. C is equal to $2.50 times N plus $7.50. Now I can solve this last part here, which is just got to plug in the number 15 right there. So it's going to be C is equal to $2.50 times, fix that there, 15 plus $7.50. And let's figure that out. So this is going to be $37.50. $37.50 plus $7.50 is equal to the cost. And so that total is going to be, what, $45? That's pretty costly. In a graph of the situation, which values would you graph on the x and y axis? Well, the x-axis, it's the dependent versus the independent variable. Well, what's the independent variable? The independent variable is going to be the number of rides. So that x is going to be the independent variable, so number of rides. And then y is going to be the cost, if we're to think about it that way, if we're to graph it in the traditional way. Okay, and here we have a Celsius to Fahrenheit problem. And this is a formula that a lot of people memorize just because it's easier, but we're going to figure it out right now. For a science class, you need to know the Celsius equivalent of room temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit. To estimate the Celsius equivalent, you use the fact that 32 degrees is equivalent to 0 degrees Celsius, and that 212 degrees is equivalent to 100 degrees Celsius. Estimate the Celsius equivalent of 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so we've got, these are going to be points. So, okay, so here are the points that we're using here. 32 and 0 and 212 and 100. So what's going to be our difference here in terms of our slope, because we've got to figure out that first. Maybe 2 points and you're trying to figure out the line. And it's 212 minus 32. So that's going to be 100 over 180, which actually translates into 5 over 9. And because both of them are divisible by 20. So now we've got our equation. We've got, well, our degrees. I'm just going to write down C and F. We've got, since this is the, it's going to be Celsius is equal to 5/9 times Fahrenheit plus whatever value this is. So now we've got to figure out what the value of f is. And C, we're going to substitute in those, and then we're going to figure out what this value b is equal to. So let's just do this quickly. I'm going to choose 0 as the number for the Celsius. So 0 is equal to 5/9 times 32 plus b. And I'm not going to bore you with the math. I'm going to do it quickly on the side. So this is the number I came up with as I went ahead and dealt with it. So that's the number I came up with for my value of b. And so now I'm just going to do Celsius is equal to 5/9 times Fahrenheit plus and actually it's going to be a minus, so because I've got to cancel out this part here, it's going to be a minus there. So so this is subtraction. I know this is a complicated problem, believe me, I know. So now we've got our equation. We can just substitute in the value here of 70, and then we can figure out what our final answer is. And that's it. So I did the math, and I put this all in there. So let's see here. So I substituted in the value of 70 right here, because that's where our value is that we have here, estimate. And it says estimate, so it doesn't have to be exact. But this is the value I came up with, which is approximately equal to, let's say, about 21 degrees, because 21 times 9 is going to be 189, I believe. So there we go. That's the answer.